Hi, you're listening to Abacadabra Radio. I'm Abby, your host, and on this podcast we talk about manifestations, meditations, timeline jumping, tarot card insights, astrological insights, literally whatever comes up. Happy to have you guys here for the ride. Hello, my friends. Here we are back with another episode. It has been quite the week for me. So much has happened. I feel like I've lived 5 different lifetimes now that I'm sitting down to record this. This whole week has just been freaking insane. Not in terrible ways, but just lots and lots of shifts. Before I dive into this episode, just want to remind you guys that on the website you can get timeline shifting audio, you can get the money hypnosis, the love hypnosis, you can get the reality creation workbook, you can order your own personalized subliminals, you can sign up to be a part of the creation container, which I'm really excited about. That's happening next month. That's 4 weeks, I believe, and every week we meet for an hour, and it's a Zoom meeting where we are only talking about living in the end, being in the end. We are already in the state of having what we want. So we'll be able to workshop that and talk about that and talk that more into existence to really get into the vibration, frequency, belief system of what we want. I'm very, very excited for it. So go check that out. Let's talk about the week I have had. So if you follow my TikTok, then you know on Tuesday, or if you might follow my TikTok and you might have missed this. On Tuesday, I did a timeline. Was it Tuesday? Yes. On Tuesday, I did a timeline shift. I did my own personal audio, and because I just felt like I needed a nudge into a better version of myself. I was not in a state of receiving what I was being owed, and I had put myself in a place of I enjoy the feeling of being owed more than I enjoy the feeling of receiving. So I manifested in a lot of different ways being owed different things, and things almost coming but not quite coming because they were still being owed to me. But yeah, no, I'm working through that. And once I realized that was happening, I did a timeline shift. I did the conscious meditation and I started anchoring into that new version of myself that is now receiving and deserving and not being owed everything, So then pretty much maybe within the hour of doing that, I had an opportunity come up that was really exciting. It's something I've been working for a while towards. The opportunity came into my reality. The next day, it was gone. It never actually anchored in, and that's totally fine. I wasn't ready for it. It was a bummer. It could have sent me into a spiral. It could have sent me into a pity party of not being ready for that thing, and it did for a little bit. And then I was like, is this something I really want to lose my mind over? Because it's really not the end of the world that it hasn't happened yet. It's gonna happen. It's not anything that I need to stress about right now. And I'm not in the vibrational place for it. And that's fine. Sometimes it's a gift not to have that thing come in, because if you are not ready for it, if you are not in the vibrational ready for it, the belief ready for it, the frequency ready for it, and it comes in, it's going to go away because you are not ready to hold on to it. You are not ready to contain it. And that doesn't mean you're a bad manifestor. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It doesn't mean you're not worthy of it. It just means that you're not ready for it. And I wasn't ready for it. So it came in and quickly exited. And that's, like I said, that's okay. It just gives me more things that I can start looking at and shifting in my reality. Do I actually believe that having this thing means that I have more worth? No. Did I make it feel like that for a little while? Yeah. Do I feel I could dissect that, but that's not what this episode is about. But that is something that happened this week. And then by Friday, I was just back in a whole different mindset of literally everything's just working in my favor. I don't need to know how it's working in my favor. I just know that it is. And that declaration and that belief is stronger than any fucking thing that you can have, period. I'm just going to tell you right now. The best, most powerful gift you can give yourself is the gift of believing and adapting the belief that everything is working in your favor. So take that for what you will. Let's get into the meat and bones of today's episode. What you believe, you will see manifest, period. That is something that you hear people say. Beliefs create reality. Yeah. Okay. Well, I believe that I'm worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Okay, but do you actually? Is there actually a part of you that believes you are worth that much money? Because there's a lot of people that say that and then they don't actually have that belief. Do you actually believe that you're worthy of love? Because I thought I had believed I was worthy of love when really I didn't. And then the second I did, it came in. So you're creating the good, the bad, and the ugly. The key to creating your reality is owning the fact that you are creating the good, the bad, and the ugly. You're creating the amazing things. You're creating the not amazing things. The guy that cut you off in traffic, you did that. The guy that brought you flowers, you did that. The guy that randomly brought me breakfast because he saw me in the window, who I don't know, who was a total stranger, I did that. I don't know why I did that, but I did that. It was maybe to hype my own worth up. I have no idea. But you're creating it. It's all aspects of you being reflected back to you. So to shift anything, you have to have the willing energy, the willingness to let go of the stories that you are telling about whatever that thing is right now and allow it to be completely different. If you want someone to change, you have to be open to them being a completely different version of themselves. I know people like manifesting their SP. I don't work like that. You would have to be completely open to them being a totally different version of themselves. You have to drop every story that you've been telling of them for them to show up differently in your reality. If you can't do that, then seeing them shift is going to be very, 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 very fucking hard. It's possible. I've had it happen. I've had friends. I had one friend who she and I had a falling out. And when she came back, I had to be in the mindset that this is a completely different version of this person. And she definitely had to do the same thing for me. And we're friends again. And she is a completely different version of herself. And I'm a completely different version of myself as well. So there has to be like a give and take. We're dynamic beings. We're always changing. But when it comes to specific people, again, I don't work in manifesting that because I feel like if you have one perfect person, you actually have a million perfect people. They're all just aspects of yourself being reflected back to you. So you need to work on yourself to get the best reflected back to you. I don't know why I went off on a specific person SP sort of rant, but I know people like hearing about that stuff, so there's that. There are billions of scenarios playing out at all times. Remember that. We are shifting through millions of realities every single moment. And the beliefs and the focus, the things that we are putting out is what we are having reflected back to us. That's what's dictating how we are shifting. What reality is rendering to us is a permission slip to feel a certain way. You do not have to take reality at face value because circumstances don't matter. They're always shifting, they're always changing, they're always going to, and it's going to be based on your inner landscape. If you cannot work on your inner landscape, you are not going to see your outer landscape shift. The second you start working inside, the outside changes. Every single time. Like, instantly. So be aware of what you have going on inside of you. If something happens, ask yourself, and you start getting in your feelings about it, ask yourself, what am I making this mean? What am I making this, why am I making this big bad thing? Why am I making this big good thing? Because, you're creating the good and the bad. But if something is really upsetting you, then you need to ask yourself, why am I putting this whole outside thing in, why am I allowing it to take my power away? Why am I allowing it to make me feel less than? Is there a part of me that believes I'm less than? Is there a part of me believing that I'm not worthy of it? And that's really fucking hard. But once you get there, I'm not lying when I say it's very freeing to take radical responsibility of your reality. I manifested a car accident, and I am fully aware that I did that. And I've manifested unintentionally not great things. Some nasty customers. I had an opportunity to come in and leave within 24 hours. I did that. But that doesn't mean that I live a terrible life and I'm not worthy and I'm not a wonderful person and I don't offer a lot to the world. It doesn't mean that something wonderful isn't ever going to come in. And I know that in the height of those moments, it feels like everything is crumbling. It feels like we're worthless. It feels like we can't do anything. It feels like we're shitty. I don't know. It just feels bad. And it's okay to feel bad. And it's okay to wallow in your feelings for a little bit, but don't let it overtake your life. And that's something that I did for a really long time. If something even remotely bad happened, I would be a victim for, I'm not exaggerating, weeks about it. And when you are in that place of this thing happened, so I have to feel less than. This thing happened, so I have to feel like shit. This thing happened, so I must not be good enough. When you get into that mindset of doing that enough, all you are going to receive in your reality is reflections of that over and over and over again. And I was really, really, really good at doing that. And now I'm really good at allowing myself to feel my feelings, be sad when I'm sad, cry when I want to cry, but not let it overtake everything in my reality. Not let it overtake everything I believe about myself. Not let it overtake the years of hard work that I've done shifting what I actually believe to be true about me. You're supposed to have feelings. If we didn't have feelings, we would never, you're supposed to go through contrast. We're humans. We're going to go through contrast. And we're always going to want more. We're always going to want the best. And once we get that thing, the bar's going to go higher. And once we get that, the bar goes higher. We're always going to want more for ourselves. That's great. That's a good thing. So there will be new thresholds of, do I believe this about myself? Do I believe that about the world? That we might need to shift. And that's very exciting, I guess. I don't know. We're only ever going to experience what we can accept for ourselves. Always. If you can't accept that someone in this world is going to worship the ground that you walk on, if that's what you want, if you cannot accept that for yourself, if you feel weird taking on that praise, then seeing it come into your reality is going to be really hard. If you cannot accept that you are worth more money than you've ever seen in your life, more money than you can fathom, if you cannot accept that for yourself, you're not going to see it come into your reality. And it's hard because a lot of the things that we believe are things that have been programmed into our minds by society, by not knowing our parents, by everything that we saw growing up. Think about television, think about what you saw when your parents went through whatever. And parents are amazing. I love them. I love my parents. They were, or are, my dad is the most amazing man. My mom was the most amazing mom I could have had. Did I learn things from them about money and love that might have made me feel a certain way that wasn't conducive to the reality I want to live? Yeah. Have I started shifting those or successfully shift some of them and will shift more of them as I get older? Yeah, that's just what happens. So when you look at what we've been told, especially through television, how many shows do you see, people are struggling? There's always conflict in a show. There's always conflict in a movie. It's not interesting if there's not one. So we're going to also go through that. But when you are constantly being pushed the narrative of work really, really hard and you'll make just enough to survive, love doesn't come to everyone, things like that, or you're only beautiful if you're a size 2, which is fucking bullshit. Those types of things that we have been being fed since we were children, or that I noticed I was fed as a child, those work in your subconscious as an adult. So you have to work on shifting those things because those become the beliefs that you have become what you can accept for yourself. So you need to ask yourself, what am I accepting? Do I need to set a boundary? Do I need to open up more? Do I need to work on X, Y, and Z? Now let's talk about other people. I did talk about other people, but we're going to do it a little more. Other people are aspects of ourselves reflected back to us. When you declare someone as something, you're confining them to that thing. You're confining them to that character. You are putting them in that script, which is fine unless you hate that character. I personally have done this with people where I will label them as, I don't know, okay, so my coworker who I love dearly, I have put her in the space of, she comes in late to work and she can never be on time. And it's not really a big deal because it really doesn't matter if she's in 10 minutes, 20 minutes later than what she said. It's not a big deal. But as soon as I started labeling that over and over and over again and getting frustrated when it would happen, I'm like, but I'm only confining her to that space. I'm not even allowing it to be different. And then I literally had a conversation where I was like, do you think maybe we could work on coming in a little earlier? And was open to the idea of maybe her being able to change and shift that, and boom, it happened. I know that's a silly example, but that's even the silly little things like that. What you label and focus on and allow to be a fact in your reality is going to be a fact in your reality, and it's going to happen within the people in your reality as much as it is the circumstances in your reality. So you have to be open to people being different for them to change. Again, like I said with like manifesting your SP, you have to be willing for them to be different. If you think they're not going to change, they are not going to change. All right, what's next? Be willing to show up as a completely different person of yourself, because then your reality is going to be different. Your self-concept, the way that you assume yourself to be matters so much. Go listen to Neville Goddard. Go listen to the things that he talks about. Your self-concept is the lens through which you see the world. It's the colors that you see the world in. It's the flavors you see the world in. The way that you assume yourself to be is the most important thing when it comes to consciously creating your reality. Because if you don't think you can consciously create your reality and you're trying to prove to yourself that you can, usually you end up proving yourself. Like, it's a weird paradox you find yourself in, and you're like, well, I couldn't have created I'm not even going to get into that right now. Be willing to show up completely different, and your reality will show up completely different. That's just what's going to happen. You're the only validation you need. Outer validation, other people, other things, do not need to dictate how you feel, but all the time we allow them to dictate how we feel. And I am guilty of it. But you can, again, I'm not saying don't have emotions. You can react to different things in different ways or respond to different things in different ways. Don't let the reflection of another person or another scenario that might be reflecting back you being less than, you being not worthy enough, you being a bad person, you being this, you being that, dictate how you are going to see yourself. Because as soon as you start shifting the way that you see yourself, people in your reality are going to start shifting how they view you as well. It's going to take time. I remember when I first started doing this sort of work, I had tried working on just being less reactive, because I was a very hot-headed, reactive person, and I still am every once in a while. And I was having a conversation with my mom, who was also a pretty reactive person. She was getting really irritated because I wasn't losing my mind or getting really angry at something that was happening. And it was a confrontation between her and I. It wasn't a bad one, but I remember just going, well, I didn't know, or it's okay, you didn't know that was going to happen. Why get frustrated about it? And she got so angry and then stayed angry for a little while, because like me showing up in that different space gave me the space to be different. But because she wasn't used to that, and because I had been acting in a certain way for the longest time and reacting in a certain way for the longest time, her reflection was kind of amplifying how I would feel. So her reaction, I hope you're following me with this, her reaction was a lag of how I used to enjoy my mom hyping up my anger, kind of in a way. And then when I wasn't angry, wasn't reacting in that way, or wasn't like combating, you know what I mean? That frustration comes in. Why aren't you acting the way that I'm used to you acting? Why aren't you doing what I'm used to you doing? Like, who is this person? I don't know them. Because people will be like, I don't know you. Like, why are you acting like this? I don't know you to act like this. I don't believe that you act like this. Did you guys follow that? I hope that made sense. I don't know. So yeah, that is a bunch of different spiels on a bunch of different topics about manifesting. And, I've probably talked about all of them a little more in depth in different episodes. I've talked about them on TikTok lately. I've put them on my Instagram. You can follow those, questions, concerns, readings, whatever. Put it to abracadabrapod@gmail.com. That's in the show notes. I'm not going to answer questions today, but maybe I will next time. I don't know. We'll see. Until next time, this is Abby, signing off.